Well, there are so many LGBT focused days, campaigns, and flags during the year that it may be easier to mark the days when it's not being showcased. But following on quickly from Pink Shirt Day, which has been hijacked by gender and sexuality extremists, comes the next one being targeted at children for a whole week. But interestingly, there's two special days or special weeks this week, so-called Pride Week, which is pride in extreme sexuality indoctrination and gender confusion ideology, or Samoan Language Week, celebrating a culture. Which one should we support? Tough choice, eh? No, not really. So for those who are still not bowing at the cultural altar, there is now Schools Pride Week Aotearoa for New Zealand schools being held this week, overseen by the radical and government-funded charity Inside Out, but also promoted by the Ministry of Education. Pride is a political movement which has been marketed as a demonstration of inclusion and diversity, but it has nothing to do with inclusion and tolerance. It reeks of intolerance and exclusion. It's become the main method used by the aggressive lobbying groups and cultural evangelists who are targeting schools and children with radical and extreme sexuality and gender ideology in the name of LGBTQIA++. Now, look, while many adults in society now choose to attend Pride events, children should not be exposed to such political and moral indoctrination by their schools. But here's the interesting thing. In the last 2 years, there was an almost 20% drop in the number of schools doing Pride Week in schools, down to just 250 schools. That's 10% of all schools. Let me show you. So this is the 300 schools that did it in 2023, and then they say 250 last year. Yep, a drop, despite strong media and even Ministry of Education marketing. Surely we can blame Trump or the Nazis or the tradwives. Inside Out and Rainbow Youth are heavily funded by the government, and the resources are endorsed by the Ministry of Education. But, shock horror, schools want to get on with educating, not indoctrinating. And that's what I've noticed for Pride Week this week. It's gone very quiet. There's a couple of posts on their Instagram account. They haven't posted on their Twitter account for 18 months. They haven't put up a video on their YouTube account for a year. And there's only a handful of posts on their Inside Out Facebook account. It's almost as though they realize they're losing the room. Now, before I show you what limited stuff they are pushing this week, this is what kids were being indoctrinated with last year. They had a section on terminology for high schools, including intersex, interphobia, discrimination against intersex people, which I've never seen or heard of any evidence of that. Cisnormativity, a framework of understanding gender. Yeah, I may have fallen asleep just then. The sentence stops. That's interesting. A demi-boy, a person who is partially but not fully a tane, boy, man, and a demi-girl as well. And then there's biphobia, discrimination against bisexual people or bisexuality. They say biphobia can be perpetuated by people who identify either within or outside of rainbow communities. Bisexual, commonly understood to mean attracted to men and women. Well, I've always thought that young people are bisexual until they go through puberty and they come out as heterosexual. Demisexual, a term describing someone who does not experience sexual or physical attraction to another person until they've formed an emotional or romantic connection with that person. You mean a friendship first before a romantic relationship? Wow, who knew, right? Demisexual, who knew that? So that's for high school, but let's look at primary schools and the resources recommended to teachers, which is where it gets really disturbing. And interestingly, Inside Out think that people may be concerned about the brainwashing indoctrination at such an early age, you think? Another word that some people might use for it is grooming. So they talk about rainbow inclusion at school, Some young kids already know they are transgender or non-binary or just different somehow. Sometimes people think that we at Inside Out are trying to label kids and make them grow up too fast. 5-year-old Sam might grow into being Samuel or Samantha and might fall in love with a woman or a man or neither. 5-year-olds. And then some activities for primary age. Make a pride-themed mural somewhere in your school. Make age-appropriate rainbow-themed crafts together. Pick a rainbow book title. Have a rainbow-themed shared lunch or morning tea with rainbow fruit kebabs. Yummy. And then for intermediate, raise awareness about LGBTQIA plus in school. Mufti Pride Day. Donate to Inside Out or another rainbow organisation. Out on the Shelves rainbow reading campaign. Different pride flags and hide them through the school. Actually, there's a heap of flags you could hide, so that could be quite a long game, couldn't it? QSA, a queer straight alliance. Yes, all the intermediate age children determine which team they're in, queer or straight, and then form an alliance, sort of like a Rotary Club or Lions Club maybe. A rainbow movie screening, bake sale, donate the proceeds to Inside Out, of course, or another rainbow organisation. Best flag design, not more flags. Now, look, you might think that Inside Out are only obsessed with gender and sexuality. Well, they are, but think again. Here's some of their posts. Free Palestine. Stop the genocide. They say, we are dismayed by the cynical weaponization of the queer liberation struggle by the Israeli state and its supporters to undermine solidarity with the people of Palestine. As rainbow people resisting a global genocidal movement against our transgender whānau, we refuse to be complicit in the pinkwashing of the genocide in Gaza. So that's some interesting commentary. They weren't too happy with the Parliament either. They say the 54th Parliament of the settler colony of New Zealand has officially opened, and down the bottom you'll see there the promises in the coalition agreement reflect a violent, ongoing presence of colonisation in Aotearoa. They say we'll continue to fight for a Te Tiriti-led Aotearoa. They condemn everything they can find, including the rolling back of their darling RSE curriculum. But basically, they condemn all other reactionary policies in the coalition agreement. We must fight. And they talk about the intersection of white supremacy, settler colonialism, and racial capitalism. Oh, and at the bottom, it's land back, it's free Palestine. Does the current government know about this? Does Christopher Luxon and Erica Stanford, the Minister of Education, know about these views by a group that they heavily fund to indoctrinate our kids? Winston Peters, David Seymour, are you aware of this? This is a charity that is clearly out of its lane, but of course the Charities Registration Board won't care because at least they're not talking about traditional marriage and the importance of mums and dads. No way. So they're safe. Now, just finally, this is not just an inside-out event for Pride Week. It has been pushed very strongly by the Ministry of Education. Here's last week's promotion and the Education Gazette promoting it and talking about how can your school get involved. And they say organise schools' Pride Week activities in your schools. But interestingly, there's no mention on their website or social media this year that I can find. The Teaching Council were very keen 2 years ago, but they've suddenly gone quiet. The PPTA don't seem to be saying much. So despite the relative quietness this year, it's been so quiet that maybe they're finally reading the room that schools, parents, and the general public have had enough of this indoctrination targeted at children. So what's their main campaign for this week, for this year? Well, it's hosting a movie day and watching a rainbow movie. So let's just have a quick look at this list of movies they may be showing at your child's school. Here's the primary school recommendations. And remember, this is primary school. So we've got Strange World by Disney Plus, because apparently it features Disney's first ever openly gay main character. The Mitchells vs. the Machines from Netflix, because apparently there's lesbian representation. Lightyear by Disney Plus, because it also has, apparently, lesbian representation. The Owl House by Disney Plus, where Luz pursues her dream of becoming a witch, and it has lesbian, bisexual, pansexual, and non-binary representation. It certainly looks dark, doesn't it? And is it Kipo? And The Age of Wonder Beasts from Netflix, which has lesbian, bisexual, non-binary, gender fluid, gay representation, or more correctly, indoctrination. Now remember, these are movies they're recommending for primary age. Here's the intermediate school recommendations. Nimona from Netflix. Excuse me. Nimona's plot is a powerful allegory for the trans experience and has gay, gender fluid, and trans representation. Steven Universe, the movie, which features non-binary, lesbian, and bisexual themes. Disney Plus's Dead End Paranormal Park, which features transgender and gay themes. TVNZ's Little Apocalypse, which apparently is New Zealand's first scripted children's series by, for, and about rainbow young people. Wellington-based, of course, is breaking the stigma of how queer characters are portrayed on screen. Kids don't come out, they just exist as main characters in a magical world and also happen to be queer. And then we have Māori TV's Queer and Here, a show that aims to shine a light on queer Māori, Pacifica, and Polynesian stories, diverse gender identities, diverse sexualities, takatapui, and yes, that is Chanel Lal on the left there. And then also TVNZ's Queer Aotearoa, We've Always Been Here, the history of New Zealand's LGBTQI community. The content warning says, well, it doesn't say radical sexuality and gender confusion. The warning says homophobia, transphobia. Now, by the way, just to remind you, this is all content that Inside Out and the Ministry of Education wants specifically targeted at intermediate age children. Guess what the rating of all these ones recommended for intermediate age is? PG, parental guidance. Recommended for younger viewers. They say scenes might be upsetting or inappropriate for younger children, but totally okay for teachers to show your children without parents being informed if it's part of an indoctrination week of pride. And finally, the high school media, recommended movies. And let me just find it. So firstly, Disney's Plus Love Simon. Simon hasn't told his family or friends that he's gay, and he doesn't know the identity of the anonymous classmate that he's fallen for online. The movie includes sexual references, of course. Netflix The Prom, helping Emma, a bright-eyed high school student who has recently come out, make her dream of taking her girlfriend to the prom comes true in the face of intolerance. Wendell and Wild from Netflix, the two devious demon brothers have to face their arch enemy with the help of the nun Sister Hallie, who is notorious for expelling demons. However, the brothers are not only plagued by her, but also by her altar boy, has transgender themes. Yeah, now do one with similar themes involving Muslims. I dare you. Heartstopper on Netflix has themes of gay, bisexual, transgender, asexual, aromantic, diverse gender identities, and diverse sexualities. Māori TV's Rurangi, a transgender activist, comes home to the isolated conservative dairy town of Rurangi. Themes of gay, bisexual, transgender, takatapui, homophobia, transphobia, suicide, mental illness. M-rated, but could be shown to your child in high school. The gender agenda. Oh yes, we know all about that one. In fact, I've done an episode of McBlog on that one. Almost $500,000 worth of indoctrination of young people funded by you, and now they've gone for another funding round, got another $500,000. They say it's for 15 to 24-year-olds, but it's blatantly obvious that they want young people and children to watch it. It's a subtle but sure perversion of the innocent minds of our young people. And according to Inside Out, They admit it has themes of non-binary, transgender, takatapui, MVP, FAFF+, whatever that is, intersex, diverse sexualities, diverse gender identities. Spot on. Oh, and add confusion. We've got Netflix disclosure of full-on indoctrination of transgender themes, trans thinkers, a story on dynamic interplay between trans representation on screen, society's beliefs, and the reality of trans lives. It contains mental illness, violence, sexual activity, nudity, but apparently it's okay for your young high schooler to watch. They also have, of course, TVNZ's Where Aotearoa, We've Always Been Here, which includes, I note, a section on the church and the rainbow community and homosexual law reform. And finally, Will and Harper on Netflix. Will Ferrell meets an old buddy who is now a trans woman, but still a guy, a dude. So look, that's quite a list, isn't it? Are they showing any of those at your school? Have you checked? Now, ironically, in the same week as so-called Pride Week, there is another celebration where I think we can show real pride. It's Samoan Language Week. Talofa. The 2025 theme for Samoa Language Week is a well-grounded self, a successful self. And the Samoan Language Week Committee explained this year's theme. They say, quote, a well-crafted ocean sailing vessel built with care and precision ensures a safe and steady journey. When all its parts are thoughtfully constructed, the vessel remains balanced, strong, and ready to face the open seas. Similarly, people who prepare thoroughly and with intention become grounded and resilient and well-equipped to navigate life's challenges and succeed in their endeavours. No matter the challenges and hardships of life, a well-grounded person will not be easily shaken or defeated because they are firmly rooted and well-prepared. And as part of Samoan Language Week, as we celebrate the culture of our Samoan families, we can learn the words that are important to them in their language. For example, hello. How are you?
Oa mai oi.
Please.
Fa'amole.
Thank you.
Fa'awhitai.
Goodbye.
Tō whaasoifua.
And happy Samoan Language Week.
Manuia le vaiaso o le ngangana Samoa.
So there you have it. Happy Samoan Language Week, where you can learn the language of our Pacific neighbours and the Samoan communities in New Zealand this week, or Pride Week, where you can learn words such as asexual, bisexual, cisgender, heteronormativity, intersex, non-binary, pansexual, sex assigned at birth, transitioning, and transsexual. Oh, also cisnormativity, demi-boy, demi-girl, drag, biphobia, bisexual, demisexual, gay. Oh, and also you could learn, let me just show you here, you could learn that there's 112 genders and 200 plus sexualities to choose from. So, Pride Week or Samoan Language Week? It's not really a tough choice, is it? Whawhatai and tofa soifua.